right, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, my name is John Rushemeza. Thank you guys so much for stopping by to the Counter Revolution podcast. Today, real quick, I just want to react and respond to some recent developments as we began here the process of going back to school. The people have begun going back to school, which is to say that the counter-revolution must continue. Because what is the counter-revolution? The counter-revolution is this quest, this endeavor, this initiative to reclaim education as a ministry of the church. And when I say education, I mean K through 12 education. To reclaim that as a ministry of the local church. And this is primarily, predominantly for Christians, even though I do believe in my heart that we should have the schools. Our neighbors, even our unbelieving neighbors, should send their kids to us because we are the ones prominent in providing education. Okay. One example I can give historically the church provided education, but also historically, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that things such as hospitals were originally a Christian invention. And of course, everyone sent their sick to the hospital. They didn't care if you were a Christian as long as you provided a service and you saved lives, right? Similarly, today, if you look at things such as homeless shelters around the country, right? Homeless shelters and institutions that provide this kind of service to the poor and downtrodden, if you will. There's a lot of Christians involved, and it used to be predominantly that Christians were prominent in this area, and it's probably still the case. I don't know the numbers. I know Christians are still very much at the forefront in this particular battle to try and help people out of poverty in this way. And again, Christians are there. They provide this service. They are doing this because they believe God has called them to serve their communities in this way. And also because this is part of advancing one of the ways in which, as a church, as a community, we advance the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we simply have to reclaim education similarly, because historically we've depended on the government, and obviously the government has failed. The government was bound to fail. This should not come as a surprise. This should come as a self-fulfilling prophecy. God never assigned the state to solve this problem. The same way God never assigned the state to solve the poverty problem, the hunger problem in society, the welfare, social welfare problem. God never sent the government. Therefore, the government, in trying to do it, it's a form of atheism, of rejecting God's role in human affairs. And that's not going to work. Okay, so why are we here today? We're here today because there's a gentleman that recently went viral. I'm about to play that video here in a few minutes. But before I do that, I just want to point out that there's a crisis. Again, this crisis should not come by surprise to those who understand the times, those who understand their Bible, those who read their Bible and who are clear on things. This is not by surprise, but it is a crisis. It's real. It's happening, and these are our neighbors. We have to respond compassionately, but soberly. So, for example, according to a news agency, it's a CBS outfit over there in Pittsburgh, KDKA. Okay, that's the I guess, affiliate of some sort. They report that there is a severe teacher shortage in Pennsylvania. Basically, the number of new teaching certificates awarded has dropped by 65% over the last decade. That's another way of saying a lot of people are not as interested in this profession as they used to be, because it's worth it. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and Google teachers quitting. You will see, I mean, your algorithm will be messed up, because you will see video after video after video after compilation of video of teachers just outlining how sick of it they are, how in their minds they were duped, because, you know, nobody warned them. They went in a career they felt called to teach. And teaching is a legitimate gift from God, by the way. Lest anybody think I'm somehow against teachers. I am not. I love teachers. I think they're important. I believe God gifts this. Some people go in for a career because they're going to make money, they're going to get power, they're going to exert influence and all this. But for most people, it is a gift from God. Teaching is. And as a gift from God, people naturally recognize as a gift, kind of like people recognize they're musically inclined or they're you know, hands-on carpenter, artist, blah, 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 blah. Some people are inclined to be teachers. And so they go to school for it. They are optimistic. This is one of the most guaranteed lines of employment anywhere. It's like being a nurse or a doctor. Okay. But they're saying here, according to this new news agency, and this is CBS News, they are reporting that Pennsylvania is facing a serious problem with regards to people stepping in to become teachers. We also know that homeschooling is surging across the country, as well as other ways that people are opting out to educate their children, which is making this profession not as attractive. And then the profession is really not as attractive because of the system itself. So before we go any further and be ranting here for too long, let us first listen to this gentleman. Now, this gentleman posted a video that has since gone viral. And the caption, which I took a screenshot of it, of the video itself, said this. This gentleman, I believe his name is Darius Cooks. He said, "I thought long and hard about posting this, but we have got to do something. Something is broken somewhere. It has to be. To see this level of engagement with students who simply don't have literacy skills is completely disheartening." So he actually went viral, this gentleman, because he was devastated online.
So I am on my lunch break. It is, I don't know, 11:30 or something like that. And I just finished a 3-hour class. We have what's called block, and block is where first and second periods are combined for subjects that need it. And so I literally broke down in the middle of class because I'm teaching seniors. These kids are leaving high school and going to college, hopefully, after they finish. We had 2 paragraphs to read, 1 sentence complete to write. I gave them the sentence stems. I basically completed the sentence for them in the model. These are 17 and 18-year-old kids, and they couldn't fill in 4 words. 4 words. I gave them the scenario. We annotated together. I gave them the answers before we even had the problem. And they couldn't do it. I don't know. I simply don't know where the problem is. This is only day 2. And I have seniors who simply cannot read and seniors who cannot write. They cannot write. They can reason. They have the ability to defend their reasoning if it's talking to their homeboy, but applying that to a written text, 2 paragraphs, and they couldn't do it. Our young black men, our young brown men, our young black girls, and our young brown girls oh, God.
Now, as you can see, he is very emotional. He probably didn't just realize this is a problem. He's just now realizing it's probably now just hitting him the gravity of this problem. And he's asking, saying he doesn't know where the problem is, like what happened. You know, in his caption, he said something is broken somewhere. It has to be. And I'm here to say the system is broken. The system was broken from the start. Again, I would like to be a broken record here. God did not intend, God did not design the government to take this on. This was never the job of the government. This gentleman, as much as many people would disagree with this guy is a government employee. He works for the government to try and do this job for the government. Because for a long time, we have been conditioned to see this as normal. Those kids he's talking about, their parents, likely, to the degree they were educated, went to government school. Their grandparent, likely, if they're educated, they went to government school. And so we decided that this is their job. We want our children to be educated, and it's their job to make it happen. I have to work. I have other important things such as my career, my relationships, etc. The education of my children is primarily his job. Yes, I should step in from time to time, make sure they did their homework maybe or whatever. If they say, yeah, they did and whatever. But by and large, it's this guy's job. It's the government's job. That's a problem. That is the problem. Take money from the community, fund a system, increasingly take this responsibility away from parents and the immediate community, such as your church, your local church, and your immediate family, your aunts, your uncles. Take this responsibility away from them. That's not their issue. If a kid has grandparents, those grandparents did their job already. It's time for them to travel the world. Whether that kids know how to read, that's none of their business. That kid has parents and has teachers at the schoolhouse. This is what this created. And I say all this, I just want to say, we haven't figured it out at my house. When I somehow rich and I'm able to put kids in private schools and we're up there talking down on people. No, we're still trying to figure it out. Thankfully, for now, the kids are not of school age yet. For now, very soon, we're going to start this. And I'm talking very soon. So this gentleman is a victim. This gentleman has been asked to do an impossible task. Those kids probably don't care because they can't wait to collect that document that says they graduated high school. That they learned something there is irrelevant because that document will allow them to go into a college near them or say they have at least they have a high school diploma to get a job. That's the system. Education is all about getting a better job. So why would I want to learn these things that this guy care about if it's not going to do anything for my job? If working at McDonald's or working at the factory near you does not require what he's saying, why would I want to learn it? For what purpose? So that's the fight. But this is a real predicament.
So imagine if 1 out of every 3 teachers at your school suddenly left, disappear, no longer there. That is the reality in Houston ISD. New numbers show more than 4,000 teachers quit recently, leaving students to adjust to a lot of new faces.
All right, so when we talk about why teachers quitting and why is the system not as attractive as it once was, there's a combination of things. Again, this is, remember, at the core, because the government was never designed to do this. This is not a problem that the government was ever designed to solve, because there's so much that goes into education. Okay, education essentially is discipleship. So it is a partnership, because discipleship for children has a lot to do with parenting as well. So those people that will be educating your children, you partner with. This is a partnership. It has always been understood this way. The education process, K through 12 and beyond, is a partnership between the parent, especially early on, which is why I focus on K through 12. It's a partnership between the parent and the system. And if we locate the parent into a church as a member of a church, a community of believers, then it becomes a partnership between the parent, the church, and the school, and the teachers in the school, and the system itself. So education essentially is parenting. The teacher has always been understood to be an extension of the parent. The teacher works for the parent, but it's very much parenting and discipleship. The government has no business being in charge of this in any way. This is how the system broke. So we already talked about the gentleman that is frustrated about the fact that they really don't know anything in 12th grade. There are videos of people that sued the school systems because they graduated and were unable to read, but they allowed them to graduate thanks to No Child Left Behind and the other ones that came after that. So now let's listen to the people teaching the youngest generations today.
Between the students doing too much and administration not doing enough, I am tired. I am underpaid and overworked. Like, I just can't. I cannot.
Teachers do not get paid enough. We all know this. They want you to be soft with kids. They want to let kids run the school. They don't want you giving any harsh consequences. And there needs to be discipline in schools. And honestly, a lot of schools have moved away from discipline. I'm all for positive reinforcement. I'm all for incentivizing students. But I'm also for making a kid write, "I will not disrespect my teacher," until their hand feels like they're going to break. I'm also for locking a kid out of the classroom if he or she is distracting everyone else from learning.
Well, I did it. I sent my resignation email. I am no longer an art teacher. My dream job, the job I love. I love to do it more than anything, and I can't do it because I'm burnt out, because my nervous system is dysregulated, because I'm losing my mind.
Over the past 5 years, more than 1 million teachers have left classrooms across America, and nearly half of all new teachers quit within the first 5 years. Teachers are struggling with burnout, mental health struggles, outrageous student behavior, unsupportive parents, administrators that can't be found, and so much more.
Okay, so just before we continue, shout out to her. She teacher therapy. She has a really good channel on this particular issue. She used to be a teacher herself, and so she talks exclusively about these problems. Okay, I don't know about the number, but I'll take her word for it because she has been consistent. But just let's take what everyone said thus far before we continue. How can you hear that and not hear a discipleship problem? And of course, a lot of these parents and students are not Christians. So a Christian will listen to that, what I'm saying, and say, "John, come on, they're not Christians. Why are you talking about discipleship?" Well, discipleship does not have to be Christian. There's nothing. The idea of discipleship in itself is neutral. Anybody can be a disciple, and we're all disciples in a way. It's like worldview issues. We all have one. We're all disciples in one way or another. And education is always discipleship. And parenting, because these kids are not parented rightly at home, so they bring their behavior to the schoolhouse, and some of it is just kids trying to show off in front of their peers, and plus they can't do some of these things at home, so they're acting out at the schoolhouse. On and on and on it goes. But you can't look at any of this and say that the system was somehow ever equipped to respond to these problems. It was not. This is one of those things that was inevitable. A lot of people think they can fix this. You can't. But let's hear what the teachers have to say.
It is 4 weeks into the school year with students, and I am at my limit already. I am at my limit with being talked to and demanded at so disrespectfully, interrupted constantly, repeating myself countless times. This year feels worse than the last 5 years I've taught. This is bad. This year is not good. It's not good. We are struggling, and not a lot of us are going to last if this continues, because I think there's a reckoning of teachers realizing like, I actually don't deserve to be treated like shit. And then every day wipe that slate clean and start on over as if it didn't happen. I teach high schoolers. I see it from videos of elementary school teachers and middle school teachers. I don't know when as a society we're going to wake up and say our system is failing. Our students don't have basic respect or human decency. Teachers are done.
These behaviors in the elementary school setting are so unhinged. I was never prepared for these behaviors. I'm not talking about the work refusal students or the ones that'll just sit at their desk and not do anything or participate. I'm talking about the student that's going to literally grab the pencil sharpener and throw it at the door without any hesitation at all. These behaviors are not just at my district. They are all over. I am not talking about special education classrooms only. I'm talking about general education classrooms. I go into those classrooms and I pull my special education kids, and the behaviors that are being demonstrated right in front of me with another adult in the room, these kids are so unfazed. They do not care that you are watching them. And then you call the parent and let them know the behavior that their child had today, and they tell me that the child's never even told them no at home and they're an angel. You're telling me that that child just threw a desk and they've never told you no, and they are complete angels at home? This is why we have so many burnt out teachers leaving teaching, because of the behaviors in the classroom.
So when teachers are saying that students have terrible reading skills and just lack reading comprehension, this is what we're talking about, okay? This is a warm-up that one of my 9th grade students turned in. I asked him about a field trip that we took. I enjoyed the field trip. I like learning about, I don't know. And then at the end he says, I did not like walking on pear. I guess that's him saying the pier. I would go back. This is a 15-year-old. This is a different 9th grade student. Same class. He said, I ransom for a PhD of the water. We're not exaggerating. It is bad out here. This is ridiculous. Okay.
What she just demonstrated is an indictment on her and her colleagues and the entire system. Because to the degree that you think the system is legit, you need to produce receipts. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that go in these institutions and they do extremely well. But on average, those students that could do well are also hindered by the environment. This is why homeschooled children are able to do a lot better, because the environment in which they're learning is the environment designed for it. The Prussian model, which is what we have today as a system of education here in America, was really never designed to produce the kind of person that they want to produce. In fact, if you look at what the Prussian model was designed to do, the system is doing exceptionally well. It's just that a lot of these people were lied to when they were told, hey, you guys are here to do this job, when that's not what the system was designed for. The system was designed to dumb down and destroy any semblance of creativity and thinking and personality, really. And so when you hear people come and show you what their students are doing, the system was never designed for that.
I asked to put my resignation in. I've been dealing with so many health problems due to stress, at least the last 2 years, and I was hoping that being at a new school would change that. And day 3, I was in urgent care. It all came down to chronic stress, and I walked in the next day and said, I cannot do this anymore. And, you know, one of the questions people ask me is, why are teachers quitting so much? I'm going to tell you my experience, and this might not be everybody's experience, but for me, I am in fight or flight mode all day long, and I really don't know what would change it. I guess just the caseload. It's so much pressure in so many different areas. It's hard to explain to people that aren't in it. It's the workload. I narrowed it down to 2 choices. I said, okay, number 1, I either need to make peace with working 50 to 60 hours, and I need to go get some antidepressants. Option number 2 is make peace with quitting and trying something new. And that's what I decided. My health is just, my body is saying no more.
The extent to which a teacher's body, a teacher's psyche, a teacher's well-being are compromised in order to meet the needs of the school and of the students is staggering.
And look, to be fair here, these people, when they go into the field, they should know what they're getting into. You should know that this is not for the faint of heart. You should know that you're not going to get paid enough to make up for the load that you're going to take on. Because again, the whole idea of going into these environments and parent other people's children, disciple other people's children, is what it is. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. And many of these people are not told the truth, and they go into these debt, school debt, to become teachers, and then they get there. Many of them are trapped because I spent all this time training to become a teacher. What am I going to do? And many of them quit and go do something different. But make no mistake, I don't think we should give them too much of a pass either, because they should know what they're getting into. You should research and count the cost. But while we're at it, let's discuss further what the system is actually designed to do, because I think that's important. Increasingly, I've found that people do not know what the system was designed for, where the system came from. And for the life of me, I feel like they should teach this in seminary.
I did some investigation into the derivation of the American public education system and found out that it was based on the Prussian model. And the Prussians produced a universal education system in the late 1800s because they were afraid they were losing military superiority, and they wanted to produce a cadre of mindless, obedient soldiers. That was expressly the purpose. And then that model was adopted by prototypical fascists in the U.S., again in the late 1800s. This is before Mussolini and all of that time. Corporate types mostly, who wanted to produce cadres of obedient workers. And that's why the desks are in rows, and that's why there's factory bells, and that's why it's top-down leadership. What was really stunning about that wasn't only that that was the model, but it's worse than that, because the people who built the schools were consciously aiming at eradicating the will of the students who were part of the system because they wanted them to be obedient.
Okay, just imagine wanting to reform the system. Now, we are told on a consistent basis, even among some conservatives and Christians, we just need to reform the system. Reform it to what? Because reform means that the original version was a good one and it just lost its way. And so we're reforming it back to its original state. And then from there, maybe make it better and more effective. Well, if that's what you want to do, you definitely don't want to do it to this system. And what he's saying is documented history. If you care to look, this is not just a right-wing talking point. This is documented history. It's documented history that the teachers' union are the most radical of all radical entities in this country. The worst in terms of socialist, Marxist, progressive, secular humanism. That's who's in charge of this system now. But the system is still designed to do the same thing, to create mindless, obedient citizens. They don't need to know how to read. They don't need to know how to write. They just need to be the kind of citizens that you can activate for your own purposes. All those students that can't read, I guarantee you, I promise you, they will hold up a sign that said, defund the police, abolish ICE, abolish prisons, and they will throw a brick at a cop or ICE agent or whatever, and they will show up in droves. The system was created by elites for elites. That's what the system is for. It is an educational, a discipleship program. Don't get it twisted. But it's an education program unto Caesar and not unto Christ. So like Vodi Bakum say, if you send your kids there to be educated unto Caesar, do not be surprised when they come back as Romans. I know the guy that we listened to at the beginning was talking about our black and brown children, and this seems to be a lot more severe in inner cities and places where there's a larger concentration of minorities. But I just want to make sure that get this point across. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's so bad, like as I read in the beginning of this video, that in Pennsylvania, the number of certificates awarded has gone down 65%. Just imagine that. People ask, so what's the solution, John? You keep talking about these problems, but do you have a solution? To which I would say, yes, I do. Defund the system. It's not like it's earning its keep. Defund it. Now, if the system exists as a babysitting agency where you put your kids and they at least keep them alive for the most part physically, and you can pick them up afterwards, then let's be honest about that. But if that's not what the system is for, then defund it, privatize it. Let every community decide how it's going to educate its children. The government should step out. Let every community resolve this problem for themselves, which would mean stop taking the money from the community by force to fund an institution, a system that fails, that's not going to get better. So that's my solution. I think we should privatize the education system. Let the free market resolve it. Is it going to cost? Yes, but it's not going to cost us nearly as much as it costs now, because a lot of people assume that the system is free, that the education system is free. The education, your child education is not free. We pay for it. And in Pennsylvania, we pay upwards of somewhere between $20,000 and like $23,000 per child per year. So that's not free. But the system is fraudulent. How do we know? For the last 40 years, the homeschool community, which is from every socio-economic level, it's not just for the rich, but home education has proved for the last 40 years that the school system, the government school system, is irrelevant, really. You can educate your kids at home. You don't even need a degree to do it. You just need to plug yourself into another community of like-minded people, and boom. It's going to be hard, of course, but it can be done. There's millions of people that have proven and continue to prove to this day that it can be done with multiple children in the house. So that's the solution. Defund it, because the government only makes this worse. And the system has been captured by people that will use the system to destroy the country. If they haven't succeeded, or there's a good chance they've succeeded. All this to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to wake up. It's time. A lot of people are waking up already. That's good news. A lot of people are beginning to realize it's becoming more and more undeniable, and that's a good thing. But as time will go, a lot more people will begin to realize it. What some of us are saying, it is time for the churches to begin planning, begin preparing, begin putting resources in place, begin inviting people who have already been down this road, who are doing this work for decades, to come and train your people, train the parents in your community, set up resource centers, set up schools, micro schools, and things like that. Please don't try to reform the system. The system was rotten to begin with. So to reform it is to be in denial. The system must be destroyed. At best, it must be defunded so that the free market system can decide. To continue to fund this system is to fund socialism.